Welcome back to my channel. Today we will learn about one of the most shocking plot twists that has rocked the CBS daytime drama, The Bold and the Beautiful. This is a storyline that has captured the hearts and minds of longtime fans of the show, as it involves one of the most significant revelations about family connections and hidden secrets that have been buried for years. The discovery that Katie Logan has made is about to change everything for several key characters on the show, and it promises to deliver drama, emotional turmoil, and unexpected consequences that will ripple through Port Charles and beyond. Let's dive deep into this incredible plot development and understand exactly what's happening with Kate, Eric, and the shocking truth about Will's real father. The stunning confession that changes everything. Katie Logan has been harboring an enormous secret for quite some time, and in the moment of truth and honesty, she decides it's finally time to come clean with Eric Forster. The confession is nothing short of earth-shattering because it involves the paternity of Will, a young man whose identity and family connections have been a significant part of his character throughout the series. Katie walks up to Eric with a look of determination, mixed with apprehension on her face, knowing that what she's about to reveal will not only shock him, but potentially alter his entire understanding of his abilities, lineage, and his responsibilities. She takes a deep breath and tells Eric the truth that she had kept away in her heart for far too long. Will is not Bill Spencer's son. Instead, Will is actually Eric Forster's biological son. This revelation is monumentally significant because it means that everything everyone has believed about Will's parentage and his place within the Spencer family has been built on a false foundation. Will, who has grown up believing that Bill Spencer was his father, must now grapple with the reality that his biological father is actually Eric Forster, one of the most influential men in Los Angeles and the fashion industry. The implications of this truth are staggering on multiple levels. Not only does it affect Will's understanding of his own identity, but it also impacts Eric's life, his family dynamics, and his relationships with everyone around him. The night that changed everything, the forgotten one-night stand. Katie's shocking revelation is rooted in a one-night stand that occurred between her and Eric in the distant past. This is not a relationship that has been common knowledge, nor is it something that has been openly discussed or acknowledged in recent years. The nature of their encounter was fleeting and intimate, a single night of passion that resulted in the conception of Will. However, neither Katie nor Eric had fully come to terms with what his encounter meant or the consequences it would ultimately have. For Katie, this meant carrying the burden of knowing the truth about Will's paternity while keeping it hidden from everyone, including Will himself and especially Bill Spencer, who believed he was the biological father all along.
The circumstances surrounding this one-night stand are likely complex and multifaceted. Perhaps there was a moment of weakness between Katie and Eric, or maybe it was a time when both of them were vulnerable or going through difficult periods in their lives.
Whatever the circumstances were, this single night of passion has now become the centerpiece of one of the most significant plot developments in recent memory on The Bold and the fact that Katie has kept this secret for so long suggests that she had compelling reasons to do so. Perhaps she was protecting Will from the truth, or maybe she was trying to preserve Bill's reputation and his relationship with his presumed son. The emotional burden of keeping such a monumental secret. For Katie, carrying this secret has undoubtedly been one of the most challenging aspects of her life.
Every time she looked at Will, every interaction she had with him, and every moment she spent knowing the truth about his biological father must have weighed heavily on her conscience.
Keeping such an enormous secret is not an easy task, and it likely caused Katie considerable emotional distress over the years.
She would have had to maintain a facade of normalcy while dealing with the internal turmoil of knowing the truth that everyone else was ignorant of.
The longer a secret is kept, the more complicated it becomes to reveal it, and Katie has had plenty of time for this secret to become extraordinarily complicated.
The burden of this knowledge would have affected Katie's relationships with others as well. Every time Bill talked about Will or treated him as his son,
Every time Eric interacted with the Logan family or discussed his own children and grandchildren, Katie would have been acutely aware that he had a son he didn't know about. This kind of secret doesn't just affect the person keeping it. It influences every interaction and every conversation they have with people around them. Katie would have had to carefully monitor what she said, how she acted, and what information she revealed to ensure that her secret remained hidden. The psychological toll of this kind of constant vigilance and deception cannot be underestimated.
Why Katie finally decided to reveal the truth. After all these years of keeping this secret locked away, Katie finally reaches a breaking point where she feels compelled to tell Eric the truth.
The reasons for this sudden revelation could be varied and deeply personal. Perhaps Katie reached a point where she could no longer live with the lie, and her conscience demanded that the truth come to light.
Maybe something happened that forced her hand, or perhaps she realized that keeping the secret was causing more harm than good to everyone involved. Whatever the catalyst was for this confession, it represents a significant moment of honesty and accountability for Katie. One possibility is that Katie became concerned about Will's well-being or his future, and she realized that he deserved to know the truth about his biological father.
Will would benefit from knowing his true family history and his biological connections to the Forrester family. Another possibility is that Katie feared the truth might come out through other means, and she wanted to control the narrative by telling Eric herself rather than having him discover it some other way. Sometimes in soap operas, secrets have a way of coming to light unexpectedly, and Katie may have decided it was better to be the one to reveal it on her own terms.
Additionally, Katie might have been experiencing guilt that became unbearable over time, and she reached a point where she simply had to confess and face the consequences, whatever they may be. The immediate impact on Eric Forrester.
When Eric learns the truth from Katie, his reaction is likely to be one of shock, confusion, and a complex mix of emotions that are difficult to process immediately.
Eric Forrester is a man of principle and honor, and learning that he has a son he never knew about would be a devastating revelation for him. He would likely have many questions running through his mind. How could Katie have kept this from him all these years? Why didn't she tell him sooner? What has Will's life been like not knowing his true father? How is Will going to react when he learns the truth? These are just some of the immediate concerns that would flood Eric's mind upon hearing this confession. Eric would have to come to terms with the fact that he missed out on important years of his son's life.
He wasn't there for Will's childhood, his teenage years, or his formative experiences. All of those moments that a father typically shares with his son are now lost to time. Eric would be grieving the years he didn't know about Will, even as he's trying to process the joy of discovering that he has a son. This is an emotionally complex situation that would require Eric to navigate both his anger at Katie for keeping this secret and his desire to build a relationship with his newly discovered son.
The guilt that Eric might feel for not being present in Will's life, even though it wasn't his fault because he didn't know, could be overwhelming. The revelations and their consequences.
The consequences of this revelation are going to be far-reaching and will affect multiple characters and relationships throughout the series.
Bill Spencer, who has believed himself to be Will's father for all these years, will have to contend with the shocking news that his presumed son is actually not his biological child. This would be a humiliating and devastating blow to Bill, who has likely invested considerable emotional energy into his relationship with Will. Bill would feel betrayed by Katie, who kept the secret from him, and he would also have to deal with the complicated feelings that come with learning that Will is not his son.
The trust that Bill had in Katie would be severely damaged by this revelation. Will himself would be forced to confront a completely new reality about his identity and his family connections. Everything he thought he knew about himself and his place in the world would be thrown into question. Will would need time to process the information that the man he believed was his father is not actually his biological parent, and that instead, Eric Forrester is his true father.
This could lead to a period of identity confusion for Will as he tries to understand what this means for him and how he should relate to both Bill and Eric going forward.
Will might feel angry at both Katie and Eric for keeping this secret from him, and he might also feel betrayed by the fact that his entire understanding of his family lineage has been based on a lie.
The Forrester family dynamics would also be significantly impacted by this revelation. Eric's other children would have to process the fact that their father has another son that they never knew about, and they would have to figure out how to incorporate Will into their family structure. This could lead to complications in terms of inheritance, family loyalty, and the overall dynamics within the Forrester household.
The extended Forrester family would also have to deal with the implications of this secret, and there could be tensions that arise as a result of this new family connection being brought to light.